Well, hello everyone. Today is the June 5th, 2021, and we're starting the Feng Shui Connect monthly free Zoom calls with Aelita Leto. I'm a Feng Shui practitioner and has been practicing Feng Shui and Chinese astrology for at least last 2 decades. And I'm very excited to be available to our community to share the knowledge, to share the wisdom, answer any questions you may have, and also share the upcoming astrology and date selection recommendations and Feng Shui questions. Today, we have also a very special guest, Brian Phelps, and I invited my colleague, since we know each other for quite a while, and just to share what is a perspective from the Western astrology perspective. So that's going to be quite a fun. And later on, I will also be planning to share my experience that I just had recently in Hawaii. And we will be discussing a little bit about what it is about labyrinth, how we can integrate into our space, indoor, outdoor spaces in general. So there we have almost a full house. This recording will be available to also for participants tomorrow or after tomorrow. You can always find it on my website, www.aelitaleto.com. But as always, I'm gonna share my screen just for a few slides. Those who would like to take the information. So I'm practicing in a Bay Area, but due to current availability and capacity through Zoom, Skype, we also can do nationwide consultations as well as worldwide consultations. As always, there is this year, as I promised, we have to add more smile to our daily practice. You might ask why. Those who followed me in January and February, remember, this year we have a year of a yin metal ox. A little stubborn, a little conservative. So we kind of would love to add a little bit of the fire chi, joy, as much as we can during through the year. And so this is once closing the closet doors makes the mess go away, said no Feng Shui consultant ever. That's true. Well, this is a kind of a time frame and a lot of people do the decluttering and kind of purging. It is very good time. Actually, you know, something that you started maybe a couple days ago, especially after the full moon eclipse, that would have been ideal. But anything that we purge and release, it's apparently slows down as it comes back. So please feel free to write down these particular dates and lucky days. And I want to kind of point out a very, I call them juicy dates in June and July, and a few of them in August. If you see the screen, the lucky days in June, like 5th, 6th, 7th, 18th, 19th, 24th, 25th, 28th, 29th, 30th, those are exceptional dates. Either you can take a screenshot or the list or this particular slide going to be available tomorrow when we share the information, the copy of the recording. In July, especially the 1st, the 6th, the 7th, 8th, 13th, 14th, 19th, and 26th. When I meant avoiding the days in June 9th, 21st, July 3rd, 16th, 28th, what I would like to point out, those are the days would have a, like do nothing days if it's possible. All right. I'll stop sharing for now because I do have, I would like to invite our guest speaker. It's Brian Phelps. He's a Western astrology practitioner. I'll let him to share a little bit about himself. But I know Brian for quite a few years now. We've been consulting with each other and kind of having a charts read like exchange, because as you may know, even though I do chart readings for others, I don't do the chart reading for myself. So staying very, I guess, a subjective way, and sometimes having some insight from the practitioner like Brian himself gives a really, really beautiful way to kind of think outside the box, also having awareness that there are different systems in our world. And I especially want to share something. I got this for a long time. I had this universal astrology guide, the kind of a little template. And there is a Vedic astrology, Celtic astrology, Chinese, and Western. So today we could kind of discuss a little bit what Brian would like to share regarding the Western astrology, and especially, I don't know how many of you have been in a Bay Area, but what was it on the 4th? What was the lunar eclipse? No, I just skipped on me.
The lunar eclipse date was the 26th of May. I believe it was a Wednesday.
Right, the Wednesday. And we were able to see it from Los Gatos, downtown Los Gatos. I woke up like 3:45 in the morning, and it was no fog. It was very clear, can see with the naked eye. So I'll let you, Brian, to kind of introduce yourself and share your wisdom. Please take notes. I think it's going to be fun. And let's talk about, let's find out. What do you know? What you can share about these beautiful events that we have in nature, and also for upcoming solar eclipse just in a few days, right?
Yes, absolutely. Greetings, everyone. And before I begin, I just want to say thank you, Aelita, for this opportunity.
You're welcome.
My name is Brian Phelps, and I am the owner of AstroPsych Consultations, also known as APC. I am a Western astrologist and also an energy healer. I practice crystal energy healing and also sound healing, also known as biofield tuning. And what I would love to talk with you guys about today is a little bit about these eclipses, because we are smack dab in the middle of eclipse season.
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. So as Aelita was just mentioning, on May 26th, we experienced a lunar eclipse. And in Western astrology, lunar eclipses are associated with the nodes of the moon, which is about our personality and more specifically our emotions, which is actually energy in motion. On a more collective level, eclipses are linked with periods of amplified, rapid, or accelerated transmutation or transformation. And this is part of the reason why we're so linked with these sensations and experiences during these times. Individually, on that level, the areas of life, which are also called houses in Western astrology, where each person will experience the most effects and impact, that depends on which houses the nodes are with in their natal astrology chart. The nodes are points linked to the orbit of the moon that intersect with the path of the Earth around the sun. And the North Node is the point that's closest to the North Pole. And the South Node is the point closest to the South Pole. So just to kind of break this down and unpack it a little bit more, the North Node is like a heading. It tells of solutions and behavior we ought to develop. There's an opportunity for development if we choose to move our energy, grow, and evolve. And on the other hand, the South Node is like a departure, and it tells of issues and or behavior we ought to reduce. And there's opportunity for that to help and support ourselves during our evolution. In charts, the nodes are an axis, and the direction is counterclockwise. It gradually shifts over time. The North Node is currently with the zodiac sign Gemini, and the South Node is currently with the zodiac sign Sagittarius, and these are mutable signs. The mutable signs, in addition to Gemini and Sagittarius, are also Virgo and Pisces. And so if anybody is a Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, or Pisces, the eclipses are going to be a very strong or resonant experience, a notable experience for you. And mutable signs, the four mutable signs, they have certain characteristics that they share in common. And those characteristics can be summarized as adaptability, resourcefulness, inconsistency, which is linked with the mutability, so that shifting and that adaptability to change. They can be very much stimulators and stimulating. And there's this variable orientation due to the adaptability. Okay, so Gemini, right? That's where the North Node is. And Gemini, we talked about that. It's mutable. The element is air. And the characteristics are communication, talking, listening, connectors, thinkers, and travelers. And Sagittarius, the quality is also mutable. The element there is fire. And some of those characteristics are optimists, philosophers, healers, explorers, and teachers. Okay, so to zoom back out a bit, so how you're affected depends on which areas of life, also known as houses in Western astrology, are paired with about 10 degrees Gemini and 10 degrees Sagittarius, which is where the nodes are. Now, this is in the context of the lunar eclipse. And that happened at 10 degrees Gemini, 10 degrees Sagittarius. So the degrees in Western astrology have special significance. There's a book that I've read called Degrees of the Zodiac, and it's written by Donna Walter Henson. And in this book, it's fascinating because she actually breaks down interpretations of each degree point in each zodiac sign. And so I want to share a little bit of that with you guys. So about 10 degrees Gemini, some interpretations with that is versatility and agreeableness. It's a fortunate degree. Mind over matter is a theme, as are sensations and perceptions. So those are some key concepts in terms of development during the lunar eclipse. And that's going to be something to keep in mind as we move toward the solar eclipse next week as well, which I'll touch on more coming up.
I have a question for you. So this is what we should keep in mind by during this time frame between the 20s, between now until the solar eclipse on the 10th?
Yes, especially so. The eclipses have implications up to the next 6 months, but especially so over the next few weeks. Yeah, most definitely.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. And just to cover the other side of the coin, approximately 10 degrees Sagittarius, Donna had some comment interpretations on that, and that is associated with politics, loyalty, staunchness, which is an attitude of commitment, and courageousness. Okay, so let's zoom out a little bit broader. So the North Node in Gemini suggests that focusing on some areas provide opportunities for growth. Okay, and those areas include, but are not limited to, curiosity, asking questions to learn, perceiving and considering different views, alignment with tact and logic, communicating internal contrasts, so acknowledging contrasting feelings, contrasting views, contrasting thoughts, etc. And aligning with an attitude of gratitude. And through that, sending positive vibes to people and expressing ideas with neutrality. So finding that balance. And listening is going to be super important over the next few weeks, especially. There's an openness to different ideas and new experiences, which will greatly support your development over the next few weeks. And those are some areas to focus on and that are going to provide opportunities for growth and development. On the other hand, the South Node in Sagittarius suggests that moving away from some areas will also support your growth and provide opportunities for development. So some areas to move away from are being correct. We want to move away from aloofness, move away from assuming that people know things. We want to move away from communicating without listening to receive messages. That's super important. It's great to move away from wanting to be right and also espousing absolute truths. We want to move away from spontaneity as well and shortcuts. And it's great to detach from seriousness because Gemini is very much a lighthearted energy. And we want to move away from relying on intuition without verification. Our intuition is highly valuable, although it's very important to verify that during this time. And we want to resist judgment based on past experiences as well. So those are some key concepts regarding the lunar eclipse, and that's going to carry over into the annual solar eclipse that's coming up next week.
This is very interesting. I was just taking some notes and was contemplating, thinking about how we pair, like how we look at the Chinese astrology during the month, this current month and the next month, which is kind of a weakest months based on a bigger cycle, because we're going to be approaching, right now we're in a month of the snake, but then we're going to be a month of the horse, and then towards the August is going to be a month of goat or sheep, and that's in a direct diametrics with the year of ox, where in our recommendations where, you know, kind of slowing down, not really pushing too much, kind of be more like on a standstill, be more aware, which is, I think, goes in alignment, less going just with your intuition, but just the read, reconfirm, pay attention to the details before you do make decisions, before you jump on any opportunities. And it's almost like a really not even, we require the fire energy through the year, but not, the fire is gentle. It's almost like be gentle with yourself. Don't be a good observer prior you are reacting on a thing. So I think it's really nicely aligns with the Western way of interpretation, how it aligns with also what we how we're looking at the timeliness of things and how they from the Chinese perspective. So
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's best to kind of go with the idea or the concept of the candle flame as opposed to like the fireplace. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So what about the solar eclipse? So I know, is anything you would like to add or share with our community?
Yeah, absolutely. The annual solar eclipse is going to be happening on June 10th, 2021, coming up next week. And this solar eclipse is part of a series since June 21st, 2020, about a year ago. And I believe at that time, the nodes were also in the mutable signs, Gemini and Sagittarius, if I remember correctly. The next upcoming solar eclipse after this one on June 10th is set for, I believe it's December 4th, 2020. And it's around that time, toward the end of this year, that we will have gained some hindsight and some more insight perhaps too along the way, building up to that point, about how and where in life we're going to be experiencing effects and affects.
Very interesting.
Yeah,
very interesting.
and with this eclipse that's coming up next week, the sun is going to be at about 19 degrees Gemini. And because it's about almost a 2-week period between this eclipse and the previous one that was at 10 degrees. And so this one's going to be at 19 degrees next week. And 19 degrees, just to share a little bit from Donna's book about the degrees of the zodiac. The sun at 19 degrees Gemini, some interpretations she provides there, is that of the dedicated worker. Thorough contemplation and reflection, right? And it's through that our voices will be heard. And there's these ideas and feelings and experiences of positivity and persistence. And there's going to be a talkativeness and an assertiveness as well. And part of the talkativeness and assertiveness, how that fits into the equation is that the sun is going to be conjunct Mercury at that same time, which makes this even more interesting. And the moon during this solar eclipse is going to be at about 27 degrees Gemini. So there's an orb of about 8 degrees between the two. And for the moon at 27 degrees Gemini, Donna's interpretations for that, some key ideas are writing, gambling, music, traditions, pride, and leadership.
How interesting. Definitely music, traditions, writing, and leadership is it's coming up from my perspective, because of traveling to Latvia for Midsummer celebration, which is the highlight of the year in Latvian culture. I think in a Northern culture period, the celebrating the longest day of the year and the shortest night, staying awake from the sunset till sunrise, which is we experiencing white nights. There's a lot of the bonfire along the seashore, jumping over, there's so many traditions through music, singing nonstop, dancing nonstop, enjoying especially ladies would make the flower crowns and male crowns would be in the birch tree. So all those pictures, if you follow me in June, end of June, I'll be in Latvia. I will be sharing that event, but it just really goes along what you were just saying regarding the music, tradition, leadership, because this is the pivot moment in the fields. If we're thinking about the agriculture like how we cultivate the land, really nothing much we can do more before we harvest, because it's almost like looking at the results, what we plant as a seeds in the spring and how it manifests. We can just cheer up our energy and be protective and just pray for the right winds, right rains, like that would not overburden the land and the fields, just be all in a kind of in harmony. So very, very interesting. Maybe something also just as a summary. So what would be the best conduct? Well, how can we take advantage from a Western kind of point of view during this months during these summer months? What would you recommend, Brian?
Okay, so for that, I do have a little bit more.
Okay.
Okay. So these eclipses, these cycles occur in groups. There's up to around 4 eclipses a year, sometimes 2. It ranges a bit. And they'll be in the same zodiac signs for a few years. So we're kind of in the middle of this cycle in that sense, where we're in the Gemini Sagittarius axis with the nodes. And so the upcoming solar eclipse on June 10th is linked with the start of significant or important events, okay? Developments, culminations, or turning points. Okay, so it's a great time to begin and start any significant events in your life. If you've been preparing and you're ready, this is the time. Okay, this is also a time for culminations. And another potential interpretation is also a time for turning points as well. So it could be developments, it could be culminations, it could be beginnings, and it could be pivoting. It kind of just depends on how it aligns with in your natal chart. And Aelita, I have your natal chart in view if you'd like to look into that a little bit closer.
Sure.
And,
yeah, I can be the guinea pig.
Yeah, okay. And it's a lot of situations and circumstances involving education, traveling, information, and communication. So it's really about making the most of the Gemini attributes and traits and characteristics and all of those key concepts and being able to implement and integrate those.
You just pushing me over the edge. I will share later, but you finish. I will share after you're done.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, And this is especially true if your natal astrology chart, in the Western astrology chart, shows planets in any of the mutable signs. And just to recap, the mutable signs are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. And if your chart shows planets between about 10 degrees and 19 degrees in those signs, you're going to be feeling it even more so. Okay. And the interesting thing about eclipses is that they can be felt viscerally, which is like that gut feeling, like the intuition is like linked with that gut feeling. And the visceral feelings are intuitive. And it's like you can feel that you know what's best. And there may not be a rational explanation in terms of the gut feeling and the visceral experiences, although that is where the astrology can come in handy. And
Right.
Aelita, I'm going to pass the stage to you at this point because you mentioned that you'd like to pick it up with some thoughts there.
Yeah. So as soon as you said like a pivoting point regarding the education, traveling, making the most of this time, it's very, very interesting that after just my recent travel from Hawaii, where I had this unexpected opportunity to meet with one of the Feng Shui masters in Kauai, and crossing the press, it's kind of building up and really pushed me over the edge that we will be starting the training, the Feng Shui practitioner training program. And right now, tentatively starting in October. And since they, I almost have kind of put it in a corner. I almost like have no choice that to pull the trigger and really cultivate and share the wisdom that I have been learning, and would like also either the enthusiasts or new students, even the clients or whoever is on the call to join me in during this experience, and maybe doing not in a traditional way, doing that maybe three months learning Zoom or in classes, whatever I'm gonna be, and then taking the trip like a 3 to 7 day walking the chi, or having a hands-on, almost like a retreat, having the with the theme of the feng shui, like a land and astrology, self, like a healing, nurturing aspect. So this has really come so close. I mean, I cannot resist anymore. I guess this year also stepping into the more profoundly being in my own 10-year decade, Ming Palace, like I think it's the second year that this is my life purpose. I guess having the practice is one thing, but also giving the knowledge and wisdom and keeping forward and teaching others. I think it's comes to kind of a push, a big push. So thanks for encouraging, thanks for confirming, because it's important how we act and when it's timely. I think that's very, very important for us to acknowledge what is timely and what it feels right. You know, not going against the flow, not going against the river flow, right? But just going with the flow.
Yeah,
Uh,
exactly. And the timing is everything. And astrology is like a big clock. And it's also very much a language, an energetic language. And so that's
right.
part of how these insights can make a world of a difference. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Does anybody, Michelle, Margaret, Ned, colleagues, anyone might have a direct question? So maybe comments to find out more, or to clarify anything regarding the Western astrology or Chinese. And I know it's always sounds complex, but working with Brian, and especially for so many years now, like on a yearly basis, how we exchange. I also get the nice like insight, like not knowing the system, knowing my system. It's good to be open-minded to something something. Yeah. So who's and yeah, go ahead.
Hi, good afternoon. Um, so like I'm a Taurus, and so what if I'm not a mutable sign? And certainly I don't know, all the planets in my houses and all the astrological sign, but so I'm not sure that I'm a mutable sign. And so what's happening with this eclipse and the solar eclipse with those who are like earth signs and stuff?
Okay, sure. So Taurus is a fixed sign, and it's still gonna be experienced and felt by you as well. It just won't have the same type of level of potency as it does with the mutable signs. And in order to really elaborate and unpack that, I would need to be looking at your chart. Although for Taurus and fixed, I would say it's really just about aligning with those concepts and ideologies and traits and characteristics of Gemini, which is more of that lightheartedness, that communicativeness, the immediate environment, connecting with people in your immediate environment, and being as proactive in that arena as you are, and to look for opportunities to continue in that direction, because the North Node in Gemini, that's a clear signal of a direction to be heading in terms of those characteristics and concepts and traits.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyone else? Margaret or Michelle or yes, go ahead, Margaret.
Yeah, my question, when you said move away from intuition without verification. So what would be verification?
Okay, so if you get a hunch in that sense, your intuition's providing you with downloads, and you're getting inspired thoughts and such. And from there, take that and see if you can find any sort of alignment or synergy or sort of synchronicity through other means, whether it would be other people that you can communicate with, since this is about Gemini, or whether it's about information, right, that which is also associated with Gemini. So seek out information, whether it's books or conversation and whatnot. And through that, you may be able to build the verification that can align with your intuition.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great questions here. I can kind of comment, Margaret, in this regard. From the Chinese astrology perspective, remember, month of the goat or sheep, right, is in a diametrics of with the ox year. And this particular year, when we talk, ox is about rigidness and something about structure and something of simplicity and repetition, like almost like a tradition, where if the goat or sheep energy gets improvises things or kind of seems like it's pretends and always bases on that intuition part, ox chi doesn't take that seriously, and you just get depleted. That's why we want to have that confirmation of some sort for the practicality, or something like ox would say is like, I thought everybody knows this, right? It's just like that's the simplest approach, where goat would think, well, I'm feeling it, and also the rabbit chi. So that's why the verifying, especially something that repeats itself, almost like, like we have Sundays, or we have a, morning and like we have some repetition. We know that the sun rises in the east. So kind of having that notion that is always true, that when that repetition is implemented quite a few times, then you can say you are passing the intuition towards the patterns. So that could be more like a point of the confirmation. I hope that helps.
Yeah, very well said.
So anyone else? Michelle?
Well, Don actually touched on a question. Basically, I'm an Aquarius with I think I'm Virgo rising, and so I didn't hear that I was a part of that first group that you were talking about. So I think she touched on my question. What should I be looking for if I'm not in that group?
Okay, so for Virgo rising, With the rising sign, it's different than having planets in that position. I would really need to see your chart to be able to unpack that and provide a little bit more specifics. But I can say that Virgo is one of those mutable signs. And so with the earth element, the characteristics are a purist, efficiency, logical, practical, pragmatic, and such.
Reliable.
And reliable, exactly. So you can align that with the characteristics of Gemini, which is the communication, the listening, and the speaking, making connections and communicating and traveling. And so you could be feeling out intuitively how you can connect those dots. And to go further than that, I really would need to see your chart. And then I could provide more information in terms of house data and specific areas of life that would be focal points for you to tune into more.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
So if Brian would like to share on either in a chat how we can get connected with you, or how can we find your either website, feel free to share that. And
Yeah, I'll do that. I'm just going to open the chat and I'll type that in for you guys.
Yeah, but you can also announce. So what is your website?
Okay, my website is www.A as in apple, P as in pear, C as in carrot, B as in ball, C as in carrot, P as in pear, .com. And I'm going to type it in because it's not always easy to hear letters over the speaker. So I'm just going to write it in here for you guys to see it.
I'm just started looking at the patterns. It's like a P, B, P, C, C in between.
Yeah, and
what
I
does it
chose
stand
that. Yeah, thank
Yeah.
you for asking. I chose that because it's the initials of my business. Astropsych Consultations is an A and a P and a C. And then it's my initials, Brian Chris Phelps. And I put the initials together and it looks like that. I just sent it into the chat box so you guys can see it.
Yeah. Yeah, very interesting. I remember, learning how to differentiate B and D in English, or teaching my kids, right, with the like a bed frames, with the so anyway, I'm looking at the patterns. Your name even has some patterns, so it was wonderful. Well, if there's no any other questions or maybe some comments, then I will be happy to share a little bit about the Feng Shui part, our Feng Shui part regarding the my latest experience. I don't have a slides for that, but I would like to share my personal story from just a couple of weeks ago being in Kauai. And I got really, really inspired. So the Kauai trip was purely it was private women's retreat when I was one of the facilitators. And I personally have been to any other islands, but never been to Kauai Island myself. And it was definitely quite a discovery to be there. And I'm for sure going back, and I would love to bring the Feng Shui enthusiasts along the way. I find that Kauai was not only the wettest point on Earth, as you may know, 600 feet of rain per year. It is officially the wettest spot on Earth. It's amazing. And experiencing by, going to the turtle caves and, observing turtles coming out with the sunset, kind of embodying the patterns over and over and over. I also learned there was a very unique spot in the South Peak, on a South Point. There was the kind of, I think we're almost like 2 decades existing labyrinth. And one of these days, our group we kind of created this as an event, having the hike and making almost like a metaphysical experience to go explore, to find the labyrinth and do the kind of experience it, like how it is in the land. So when we arrived, we gave very thorough directions, but fortunately, we missed it. So the first part of the day, we missed it, and we went too far, and we found this private beach. And on the private beach, for at least for 2 or 3 hours, we just kind of we did the qigong, we did different kind of meditations. We like soak in the water. It was a really almost like a private cove, like within. And we were out of any cell site. That was another kind of point. I was not able to verify where that might be or where the labyrinth might be located. On our way back, so after the bathing, nurturing, purifying, kind of settling, accepting the outcome that we might not find the labyrinth, we were walking back the same trail. And on walking back on the same trail, we came across horseback riders. And then they pointed out we were like 30 feet away from the point. So while I'm telling this story, I just realized when we set the intention to walk the labyrinth, we were not ready. We were ready mentally, but our body, our physical body, our energy body, and our spirit body was not prepared. This is something it kind of got me to realize after we even passed, and we had this almost like the time of no expectations, no disappointments, pure joy, connecting to the nature, and then coming back was almost like that. It definitely was not a disappointment, because we got really gratefully, finding that private cove when we sunbathe and water base was definitely the highlight of the experience. But coming back and coming across of this beautiful labyrinth was a gift. What also resonated that moment when I was starting observing the nature, and I promise on the follow-up letter, I will share some of the pictures that I took from the site. The site, the labyrinth way was perfectly feng shuied, set up with alignment with the north-south, with the entry into it from the west, which definitely was like it was created in honoring a mother, a wife who passed. And the son and father created this labyrinth for her. And as a point, in the center of the labyrinth was also altar area. I guess every week, a father and a son or one of the others go and walk the labyrinth to visit. And as a sign that it's been accepted, that one of the days in a spiritual communication, they find the offering that was left as a pearl. And this was just like a sign for them that the spirit of the mother and wife is in a kind of interceptive way, interceptive kind of presence. When I walked the labyrinth, I found before that on the beach, I found like really beautiful, naturally carved, like a offering ball, and then the little heart with the coral little heart. Believe it, I really wanted that to bring it with me to California. I didn't. I kind of did practice like kind of no attachment. And that was just an amazing experience through walking the labyrinth. And one of the things I was citing was mantra of Om Mani Padme Hum. I just walked the whole way like Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, like not even like anticipating any like ritualistic, like what am I gonna do or how am I gonna honor that, but that was not even having that knowledge about it, right? So it just naturally felt. And the same day we were on when we finished the walk, when we went to on the different beach and find the sunset, that's when I also was observing the turtles that come out every single sunset to the same beach for hundreds of years. They never stop keeping the patterns. They come always there, always. So the next day, there was in a town there in another beach was the drum circle, which was another group persons were going to join the drum circle of the island, which was another a significant event on a weekly basis. That's again where the gathering of the locals will gather together, and also some of the visitors. It's always available to it. And I did not go to the circle, but my friends did, and they knew how much I really wanted. There's one wish I had, but it was also not unintentional. But one of my wish was to hike there's a sleeping giant or green dragon trail. I'm associated because my kids on a first grade always draw the happy dragon. There's a song about it, right? And to associate it. Guess what? I had to leave the next day back to California. My flight was at 11 o'clock, 11:20. And the night before, the girls come back from the drum circle. And apparently they saying, guess what, Aelita? We're taking you to the airport, but before that, we're gonna go and hike the dragon trail, which we did. And when I also, another significance to it, the trail was the person who was going to guide us. The house was right at the footsteps of it, and their a roommate, I would say, like the who lives is also the Feng Shui master, Anne Marie Holmes, who I met on the next morning for just a few minutes. I met right there before the hike. Why I'm saying this is that Om Mani Padme Hum mantra, meeting the master, who is also connected to shamanic practice, the Buddhist practices and she's practicing the BTB school of Feng Shui. It kind of cross-references, like the magic happens so fast, so quickly, that I could not even envision that in my back of my mind. So it also made me, and I want to inspire the same way I inspire one of my clients from Morgan Hill. When you have a decision, I highly recommend, when you have an open land, when there's something that you feel that there's, you don't need to build things, but you want to activate. The labyrinths are absolutely fantastic ways in any pattern, like a tree of life or in any pattern, is a beautiful way to activate the land and also activate your connection to your spiritual connection to land. Those who have worked with me and have a like Feng Shui done, and sometimes, not always we have this perfect, like every house has strengths and weaknesses in their arrangement. And I find like a labyrinth could be one of the elements could be created in your plot of land, or even imaginative labyrinth to incorporate and to heal. Let's say when we don't need to be suspiciously thinking about, the Qigong or these bad directions, and this could be vicious and you need like a protection. A simple, authentic labyrinth could be a great experience, or could be great implementation. Those who are in Los Gatos, I have a house couple blocks from Days Avenue. And it's beautiful solution that the house has done. They have a labyrinth that they share between the street and their main door. There's a plot, like kind of the plot of land. And they have set it up, the kind of the rustic steel shape labyrinth right in front. And it even says it's open to public. So if you have a nice intention, you can walk it yourself. And I thought, it's like, How creative is that, and how healing is that? Because when the house sits in the east, faces west. West is the Qigong direction based on the Bajai Minghua system. That's, you know, eight house mansion system. And most beautiful adjustment or most beautiful cure is, instead of like avoiding the area, or that is purifying. It's almost like setting up the creek for purification when we enter the temple. So yeah, I wanted to share this this experience, and looking forward to add such elements that we learn from nature, that we learn by experiencing the land and a timely matters, and how quickly we can manifest things when we are open. And another thing is, this is particular time frame, especially now, June and July, is, even though I would like to recommend to kind of slow down, don't be too pushy, really take it easy with your patterns, your energy, the viewpoint. You don't have to take it easy, lazy, but be mindful, where your energy goes towards to. Where's your intention? How almost like you're creating a gift, and you're packaging, you're creating that gift for yourself, and you're putting a beautiful, beautiful kind of a bow, and you decorate it. You're kind of taking that time before you're going to be making an offering, or before you're gifting it. So just encouraging you to be gentle with yourselves. Don't be lazy. Have fun. I will be traveling. I'm going back to Latvia on the 18th of June. I'm going to be gone for a month. I really hope to I'm not going to miss the Feng Shui Connect, but just stay tuned regarding the time. Maybe for July, it's going to be different. But again, we're going to give you enough warning. And please share the questions that you might have for that. We would like to start the series in August and September in regards to astrology or Feng Shui. I will be happy to integrate that at any point. So we have still 7 minutes. If there's any comments or questions, yes, then go ahead, unmute.
Hello. So Kieran's in summer camp June 26th through the July 10th, and we're doing a 1-week trip up, and then I'm staying up north in Washington State, and then we're doing a 1-week trip down. So the first day we're traveling is June 21st, and that's a no day, and then you said just a quiet date, but what do you think?
Okay, it's okay to travel, but don't rush. If you are mindfully already kind of, if you plan them, so if you spontaneously deciding, oh, the 21st I'm gonna go, right? That you asking for trouble. But if you have planned everything, and then as long as you don't get frustrated, oh, I'm supposed to leave at 9, I'm not out on the road, go with the flow. Because as long as you are not kind of be pushing it over becoming overachiever, it's okay. It is a summer solstice. It starts the summer solstice series. In Latvia, it's going to be from the night of the 23rd to 24th, because we're a little bit of the few days later than in Norway or Sweden or Finland, or how it's based on a cycle of sun. But just be mindful. Maybe definitely greet the sun in the morning, and also greet the sun in the night, especially during those 21st, 22nd, 23rd. That's something to celebrate. That's something to celebrate. When I do say the days are not recommended or quiet, it's the oracle days. That's like the oracle day, when you open your card, when your meditation becomes very meaningful, when you can dedicate things to do something, that is, to the card, right? And then you also do observe your conduct as you are on the road. If somebody's needs help, or just be mindful. If there's a place that you really want to stop, just stop, right? It's almost that going with that motion and being aware of your feelings. So notions
Thank you.
to that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would like to also thank you again for the beautiful project pictures. I don't think I can share those. Um, can you maybe share with everybody what have you done?
Oh, sure. So Aelita came down here. I'm in Huntington Beach, and then she feng shui, they always want to hide the TV, and we had this cream wall and there was a black TV. And so Aelita came, this was the third time she came to our house. And so, she had quipped, I said, we made all the changes you recommended. And she's like, well, then it's ready for me to move in, and I was just laughing. So she said, hey, do stick wall, stick wood. And so here's husband, yeah, right there. So here's our cream wall. We did stick wood, and then we really like we have an open family room where 3 walls are encased, and then there's a hallway that goes through the family room. And so then we like the blue walls of the 3 room, and then we kept everything cream to kind of match the hallway. And then we're like, you know what, we really just want a blue hallway. And she's like, where is it going to end? And then it goes down and then it goes around, and I'm like, let's go around and not have any lines at the corner. And then we looked and we're like, we need to just carry it around because there is a window seat. And so there was enough lighting to accommodate the blue walls, and it looks like, while we're in Huntington Beach, it looks like Martha's Vineyard home, just the blue walls.
Yeah,
And it's just fun. So,
this was before, right? This is
right,
the,
this is before.
yeah.
And
And then this here.
this is after with the blue walls, because, so yeah. So behind the TV's on the right. So then we wanted to carry the blue wall because Aelita just said, hey, just do the stick wood and don't paint. And because we have built-in white cabinets and stuff, we're like, oh, the dark color would totally pop the white, and then it's like, where do you end? Because it's this hallway. And so then we ended the paint around the corner. And then we're like, just the whole thing needs it.
Well, I think you did a great job. I know this looks a little brighter than maybe than in reality, because you have like a flat paint, and I know the good iPhone pictures are usually kind of put a little more spice to it. But I think it's fantastic. I think your second floor, there's the ceilings, right? The tile that goes all the way up almost to heavens, right? Now I think how this feels in the evening.
It feels great. So then there's this, the walls are 20 feet high. So then there's this 4th wall that's cream and has to be painted blue. And we're just like, we're not getting on a 20-foot fence, ladder. But we have this big ball that resembles the sun, resembles the moon, is the light fixture in the room. And Neil's always like, we can look up there, the wall is blue, and then we can see that would offset it. But yeah, we're so done painting.
Okay, well, that's you guys did a really, really nice job. I love your house is really joyous and happy. So,
Thank you.
oh, there's somebody joined us more at the end. All right, well, it's 5:59, and once again, thanks for attending. Thanks to Margaret. Do you have a question, or we are all waving to the camera? So thank you so much, Brian. Thank you for sharing your wisdom. And I will be looking forward to and greeting you everybody from Latvia next month. So that's amazing. And we'll keep going. And probably the training program for Feng Shui, the first initial program is going to start in October, the initial introduction. And then we're going to get more serious starting the next year, 2022, which I remind everybody, the year of the water, the young water tiger. This is going to be more dynamic year for the individual achievement. So whatever you plan, like myself, it's a great year right now, the year off to prepare for things. But the leaping year to move forward, to make a difference, to really cultivate and activate your intention, and almost like leap and implement. Year of a tiger could be a great year for most of us. So I think a lot of people are going to be done with slowing down and being kind of caged in. So the tiger is gonna kind of open up the venues and allow us to leap out, to really, and also it's going to be more a spiritual. It's not going to be just by physically, practically, just doing it. There has going to be have a very deep spiritual and energetical value to your work you do, your intention, what you do. So take a beautiful summer rest, okay? And I will see you in July. And thank you so much. And we're closing the Feng Shui with Aelita. Thank you so much. Bye, everyone.